Visit CCGCastle.com and get 5% discount on your purchase with TCG Center 5 code. Check video description or visit CCG Castle for more. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Pokemon TCG Center. In today's video, we'll be looking for deck, and this is actually the deck for the expanded format. So Mega Manectric is back. In my opinion, Mega Manectric is very good card at this moment, is very underrated. The price is, I think, maybe a few bucks, $7, $8, something like that. So in my opinion, with the new carrot that has been released in that Battle Arena deck featuring Keldeo and Rayquaza, which says each player shuffles all Pokemon in his or her discard pile into his or her deck. That means that with the carrot you can shut down those Night March decks, you can shut down those Vespiquen Flareon decks, you can shut down maybe even pure Vespiquen decks. So you can get very good advantage against those decks. So I don't expect to see much Night March, Vespiquen Flareon decks, Vespiquen Vileplume decks in expanded format. Also on the other side, with Karen being released, maybe even Traveling Break will not be that popular anymore. So something like a Mega Manectric can definitely be the thing in expanded format again, especially because it can easily counter those Yveltal decks for the weakness, of course. And on the other side, with the Headringers, you can even disable decks like a Seismitoad-EX, Giratina-EX, pretty much any other Darkrai version of the deck if you can go first, if you can get those Headringers pretty fast and lock your opponent EX Pokemons from being able to attack for the regular energy attack. So in my opinion, it can definitely be very, very powerful. So with 210 HP, Mega Manectric also have free retreat cost, so you can retreat for free. You can also have resistance -20 on the metal decks. So that's very important because in expanded format, maybe some people will also try to play those Genesect with the Bronzongs. So maybe even a couple Mega Rayquazas would be played. I don't know. So in my opinion, Mega Manectric I think is the best bet at this moment to go in the expanded format. On the other side, just 2 energy cards for the Turbo Bolt. You can go for 110 and attach 2 basic energies from your discard pile to one of your banished Pokemon. That can be definitely very, very strong, especially if you play against just a pure basic deck. With your Jolteon Flash Ray, you can easily hit for 70 and prevent your opponent basic Pokemon from being able to damage your Jolteon. You also have free retreat on the Jolteon, so what else you really need? On the other side, for support, I'm running 2 copies of Garbodor, so 2 line of the Garbodor and Trubbish with that Garbotoxin. So if this Pokemon has any tool attached in it, each Pokemon in play, each player hand, and each player discard pile has no abilities, which means if you can get Garbodor turn 2 with the Float Stone, you're going to be able to shut down your opponent Greninja breaks, and regular Greninja from X and Y, Water Shurikens, John Water Shurikens, on the other side even Trevenant will not be able to item block you. And on the other side, you can easily heal for like 30 damage from the Rough Seas and 60 damage from your from Pokemon Central Lady, so you can heal 90 damage per turn from your Lighting Pokemons, which is definitely very, very huge heal off, and definitely if your opponent cannot one-hit knock off your Mega Manectric, especially in the mirror matches, you can definitely have huge advantage with that Pokemon Central Lady and Rough Seas. So 14 Pokemons, 36 trainer cards, and 10 energies. So as you can see right here, I'm also running 2 copies of Shaymin-EX for the setup. So we really want to get advantage turn 1. If we go first, we really want to set up, especially if we play against EX deck, we really want to find those Headringers so we can attach them to our Pokemon EXs. This can definitely be very big trade-off, especially in a mirror match where you can even prevent your opponent from being able to Mega Evolve. That can be very important because if he wants to Mega Evolve, he will also need 3 energies on Mega Manectric. And of course, 2 copies of Jolteon for that Flash Ray. It can be very good card against any pure basic deck. And of course, 3 copies of Manectric-EX with that Overrun and Assault Laser, and 2 Mega Manectric-EXs. I mean, the reason why I run only 2 copies of Mega Manectric is the reason why I also run those 2 copies of Headringers, and because I'm expecting to see a lot of EX decks. So with Assault Laser, I can go with 2 energy cards for like a 120, and basically even lock my opponent from being able to attack for a regular energy requirement. So in addition to that, as I mentioned, 2 Mega Manectrics, 1 Hoopa-EX with that's countering, so I can set up turn 1, of course, with the single Ultra Ball, and of course 2 copies of Trubbish and a Garbodor. So I decided to go with the Trubbish with the Pound because I'm running 2 copies of Double Course Energy, so I can even hit turn 1 with the Pound, just in case. You never know when that can happen. From the item cards, as you can see, only 1 copy of Battle Compressor. I was looking forward to find maybe more space for maybe 2 Battle Compressors, didn't find space for 2 Battle Compressors. Unfortunately, even 1 Battle Compressor is enough. With 1 Battle Compressor, you can discard basically 2 energies in your discard pile, and that's all we really need. We really need just maybe like 2 energies in your discard pile, so we can attach them with a Mega Manectric, but of course we can, with the Battle Compressor, discard any other supporter card, so that's very important. On the other side, with the Mega Manectric, you can only attach basic energy cards from your discard pile, so it's not like a carving break which says that you can attach even special energies. So with Mega Manectric, you can only attach 2 lighting energies from your discard pile, so that's the reason why I'm running only 8 pure 8 lighting energies, but you can also add flash energy in case you think you might be play against those fighting decks like a Garchomp, Carbings, and stuff like that. On the other side, 1 copy of Computer Search, so discard 2 cards from your hand. If you can't discard 2 cards from your hand, you can play this card, search your deck for any card and put it into your hand. So this is the most powerful ace pick in my opinion, because you can play only 1 ace pick per deck, and with Computer Search you can definitely have anything you really want. Also, I didn't go with Jirachi in this build. You should probably notice that. I think Jirachi is pretty much necessary for this deck because, I don't know, at some point of the game it can be good, but if you start with it, it can definitely be a big disadvantage. Of course, 1 copy of Escape Rope. Each player switch his or her active Pokemon with one of his or her benched Pokemon. In my opinion, Escape Rope is a pretty damn good card. Sometimes it can help you a lot. Since pretty much all of your Pokemons have for retreat cost, except for the Hoopa and the Garbodor and of course Shaymin, but Shaymin can Sky Return, Escape Rope can definitely be a good thing, especially to force your opponent to promote something from his bench to the active position. 1 copy of Startling Megaphone, so you can get rid of all Pokemon tools from all of Pokemons that your opponent have in play. In addition to that, 3 Trainer's Mails, which will allow you to go through top 4 cards of your deck, and you can pick pretty much any trainer card you find there. So in my opinion, it's the good thing to go for a consistency. Of course, 4 copies of Ultra Ball, so I can search my deck for any Pokemon I really want. But basically, if I can start with Manectric or even better with the Jolteon in the active position, I can just easily go with my Ultra Ball, and basically I can grab that Hoopa, I can put it onto my bench, I can grab Jolteon, 1 more Manectric, Shaymin-EX setup, then I can try to find my Parallel City to get rid of my Hoopa and Shaymin from play, and that's pretty much it. From that point of the game, I just need Mega Manectric, and I need to find Rough Seas and Central 80 so I can heal multiple damage counters from turn to turn. On the other side, also 4 copies of V-Seeker, so I can put support a card from my discard pile back into my hand and replay it again. So that's very important because I have multiple supporter cards to play. Some of them are disruptive, some of them are pretty much very useful. For example, Delinquent is the first supporter on my list. He can discard in Stadium from play. That's very important, especially to get rid of the Parallel City. And it can force my opponent to discard 3 cards from his or her hand. So in my opinion, Delinquent can be very, very big deal, especially when your opponent gets down to like 3 cards in his hand and you can discard entire hand. That can be just very painful for him, especially if you have Jolteon with the Flash Ray in the active spot and your opponent play with the pure basic deck. Also 1 copy of Karen. Unfortunately, I don't have a Karen at this moment on my account, so I'm not going to be able to play video with this build. So today I will just make a video about the deck list. When I get Karen, I will also post a gameplay video. So with the Karen, you can force your opponent and of course yourself to shuffle all Pokemon from discard pile back into deck. So that will definitely destroy Night March, Wespe Queen, Flareon decks, and in my opinion, Karen is the way to go. You need to have one copy of Karen so you can be prepared for everything. I was also looking for maybe to take 2 copies of Lysander, didn't find a space for 2 or for the second one, so I'm running just a single Lysander here, so I can switch one of my opponent bench Pokemon with his or her active Pokemon. 2 copies of N, of course, so each player will shuffle his or her hand back into a deck, then each player withdraws a card for each of his or her remaining prize card. In my opinion, N is very, very good card, the best card we have for the draw in my opinion. Of course, 1 copy of Pokemon Central 80, as I mentioned earlier in this video, I can heal 60 damage and remove all special conditions from one of my Pokemon in play. So I can also remove all special conditions. So you can also be in a position where you might play against that a Selgor dex. So if you're going to find yourself playing against a Selgor and he just used deck and cover, hit you for like a 50, paralyze you, he have Verbex CTG, that's 30 additional damage from the poison, you can just heal the damage off with the Central Lady and Lysander or something, and pretty much knock out his active Pokemon in the active position, so you don't need to worry too much about it. But if a Selgor will be played with some kind of the robust substitute, you're probably not going to find yourself in a good position, but still, with overrun at least you can spread 20 damage around the board. Also 1 copy of Pokemon Ranger, just in case I find myself playing against a Glaceon-EX. You never know when you can use Pokemon Ranger. Really, it's good card to have in this build, in my opinion. Also 4 copies of Professor Juniper. Discard your hand, draw 7 card. Well, it's my favorite supporter card, full art. I really like the Professor Juniper the most, so I also have in real life 4 copies of full art Professor Juniper and 4 copies of Sycamore, but I much more prefer Juniper or Juniper, whatever you want. 1 copy of Parallel City, so I can get rid of my Jolteons and Hoopa from the bench, but also it's very strong against Mega Rayquaza matchup. I can put my opponent down to 3 Pokemon, so it can definitely be very devastating for him. On the other side, I can even take advantage against those Greninja decks because I can reduce the damage for 20 if I have Pearl City on my opponent's side with that damage reduced. So for example, he can hit me for like 60, 40, depend will he return energy or not, and I can heal that damage just with a single Pokemon Central Lady or 2 turns with the Rough Seas. Also 2 copies of Rough Seas. Once during each player turn, that play my heal 3rd damage from each of his or her water or lighting Pokemon. Very strong card. Of course, 1 copy of a Fighting Fairy Belt. The basic Pokemon this card is attached to gets 40 HP and it attack does 10 more damage to your opponent Pokemon. So that's very important because I can have 200 HP with my Jolteon. I can hit for 80, so 2 times with the Flash Ray I can knock out my opponent Jolteon maybe if you don't have that tool, but also I can have 210 HP on my Manectric and I can do overrun for like a 30, 20 or like a 60 if my opponent have weakness and 20 to the bench, and also Assault Laser can do much more damage, but that's the reason why only 1 Fighting Fury Belt is a tech in this build. Also 2 copies of Float Stone so I can have free retreat pretty much on any of my Pokemon that I need. Either way, Shaymin Hoopa, but pretty much is here for that Garbodor line. Of course, 2 copies of Manectric Spirit Link. I didn't want to have 3 of them, just because Mega Manectric in some matches is going to be what I will search for. In some matches, I will just focus with my Manectric with Assault Laser. It will depend on the meta and on the deck on the other side. Of course, 2 copies of a Headringer, so I can actually attach Headringer to my opponent EX Pokemon, so he will need to pay 1 more energy to attack. 10 energies in total. 2 of them are double cores energies, and 8 of them are just regular lighting energy cards. Why 2 double cores energies? Well, that's just because I can go basic lighting energy, double cores energy, and I'm ready to use my Flash Ray for 70, maybe even 80, depend if I have a Fighting Fury Belt attached to the Jolteon or not. So pretty much, guys, this is my Mega Manectric Jolteon Garbodor deck list for a expanded format. So I'm definitely looking forward to play this on my next local expanded event, but also you can try to test this deck list. You can try to see how good or how bad it is. You can even try to improve it. Let me know what you think about it, and maybe use it by yourself in upcoming regional championship that is actually this week. So once again, guys, I hope you enjoy watching this video. I hope this deck will actually help you a little bit if you're looking to play Mega Manectric, and if you don't know how you should actually build a deck or how the deck should look. So in my opinion, this is pretty damn good list. It can actually be good against any matchup. So if you just expect to see some Zygardes or fighting decks, you should just maybe add two more special Flash Energy so you can even have cover for that matchup. So I hope you guys enjoy watching this video. As always, if you like it, don't forget to like it. If you didn't like it, don't forget to dislike it. If you have any questions, don't forget to leave comments below. And yeah, since I don't have Karen at this moment, I cannot post a video about this deck, but I hope these 15 minutes were actually pretty useful for you. So till the next time, have a nice day wherever you are, and goodbye.